David, also known as Solid Snake, is the main protagonist of the Metal Gear franchise by Hideo Kojima. He is one of 3 children of Big Boss, a clone of him made during the Los Enfants Terribles project. These clones also include Eli and George, better known as Liquid Snake and Solidus Snake respectively. Solid Snake, or just Snake for simplicity's sake, was recruited into Foxhound, where one of his first missions was to rescue fellow soldier Frank Yeager, codenamed Grey Fox, as well as destroy the prototype of a powerful weapon, the TX-55 Metal Gear, a bipedal tank capable of launching nuclear weapons from any location. Following the success of Operation Intrude N313 and the destruction of Outer Heaven, Snake would become an independent gun-for-hire, regularly contacted by the military to handle infiltration, espionage, and takedown of any operation that would possess more powerful successors of the Metal Gear weapon. Tonight, however, he will be taking up a new type of operation, one that requires his skills and expertise in stealth, but no involvement of the Metal Gear weapon. Following a massive breakout at Arkham Asylum staged by the Joker, the Gotham City Police Department comes into contact with the US military, who relays the call to Roy Campbell to hire Solid Snake to attempt to get the chaos under control. Batman is nowhere to be seen, probably on a different planet with the Justice League, leaving Snake to handle this operation, as without a doubt, it will require him utilizing his stealth in combat at his best. Sorry to interrupt this. Hello, hi, I'm Salty, and this is the first time I've made a video remotely like this. I'm not expecting any sort of mercy, but I will say that if you like this kind of video, feel free to like, subscribe, comment, share, whatever. Do anything to tell me that you like this, and I'll make more. Perhaps even a part 2 and 3 where I put Snake through Arkham City and Arkham Knight. I've never played Arkham Origins, so maybe that'll be a part 4 if this does well, as I do have some things in mind for that. Now that the disclaimer's out of the way, we can continue. The story stays mostly the same for the first several minutes. Joker deliberately lets himself get arrested by the GCPD so that he can stage the massive outbreak with the help of Harley Quinn, and taking Commissioner Gordon hostage. Joker lays down his threats that bombs are planted all over Gotham, and he'll detonate them if anyone tries to approach Arkham. Before he gets caught, though, Gordon calls for help from the US military, who then contact Roy Campbell to pull Snake out of retirement that he was enjoying back in Alaska. Snake arrives fully equipped with his items from Metal Gear Solid 1. Why the Metal Gear Solid 1 equipment specifically? Aside from familiarity, it is the most chronologically accurate. Arkham Asylum was released in 2009, and presumably takes place in 2009, and the Big Shell incident, aka Metal Gear Solid 2, occurs in 2009, meaning that if this were to happen, it would be Snake following the events of Metal Gear Solid 1. I know by this point, wouldn't be affiliated with the US military. Even by Metal Gear Solid 1, his affiliation with the US military was spotty at best. I'm trying to find the best way to logically explain how he'd learn about this. Metal Gear lore is terrifying as it is, so I'm trying to simplify everything without having to explain everything. Trust me, this video would be 3 times the length just from me trying to make sense of it all. Which, granted, it'd be in line for Metal Gear, but that's besides the point. Right off the bat, no pun intended, Snake would realize that Joker is serious, as Campbell and Otacon would let him know that they are detecting numerous bombs, and Nastasha hammers the point by advising extreme caution, as the bombs in question are more than capable enough to wipe Gotham off the face of the map. Campbell then states that Joker, despite his clowny aesthetic and insanity, is not to be taken lightly and is highly intelligent, capable of outwitting some of the world's finest detectives and organizations through his sheer unpredictability and scheming, and that this outbreak staged by him was something that's likely been planned from the moment he got apprehended. One quick thing is that Snake wouldn't deal with Zsasz. Not because he would be difficult, but because Snake wouldn't encounter him by the same point Batman does, as Snake would likely infiltrate Arkham from outside, rather than making his way out of the building at the beginning of the outbreak. Also, Campbell would advise to try to find and rescue the Warden, just so that he can acquire his keycard and access all of Arkham. However, he also advises caution with that, due to the Warden being held hostage by Harley Quinn, who is Joker's second-in-command, his number 1 if you will. Not long into Snake's infiltration of Arkham, Joker discovers him, jokingly referring to him as a snake in the grass, and that he is aware of Snake's feats and capabilities. Joker decides he wants to play around with Snake before destroying Gotham, and sicks the first Titan on Snake. Snake would without a doubt handle the Titan with or without Campbell telling him how to handle the performance-enhanced freak, and Naomi would tell him how Titan is a modified version of Venom, a type of steroid that increases one's strength by incredible proportions. Even without Naomi or Campbell's advice, Snake would be able to defeat the first Titan, whether it's shooting him into submission or waiting for him to suffer from a heart attack. Wouldn't be the first time a Snake defeats an opponent by waiting for him to have a heart attack. Just to move things along, I'll be covering notable scenes, because I don't want to be like, Snake travels through the vents, or Snake crawls on the beams in order to traverse the asylum. Just know he'd probably be able to make it through most things, as he can use C4 in the place of explosive gel, and he could probably navigate Arkham with the help of Otacon's hacking, or Campbell's intel during the mission. Speaking of Otacon, he'd probably be on site with Snake, using the stealth camo to evade most things and hides when he needs to. So, pretty much Otacon during Shadow Moses. And if there comes a point where there are multiple goons attacking Snake, he can just throw a stun grenade and shoot them with his SOCOM, FAMAS, or PSG-1. Snake is no stranger with dealing with multiple targets at once, and heck, it's pretty much one of the first things that happened to him during Shadow Moses. The big difference between Batman and Snake is that while Batman has a strict no-killing rule, Snake is a bit more looser with who he kills. Granted, he'll feel bad after the fact, but largely, if he has to kill, he will. Which is something Joker would have an absolute field day with, starting to grow fond of how entertaining Snake is becoming for him, and how much he'd have fun breaking Snake. Snake wouldn't necessarily kill everyone on sight, as he would always try to get as much information as he can, holding several goons at gunpoint and trying to coax the information out of them. While Snake tries to rescue as many hostages as he can, he eventually comes into contact with Scarecrow, who is able to hit Snake with the fear toxin. The best way I can see it unfolding is that it'd be the closest thing Snake has with dealing with the sorrow from Snake Eater. Scarecrow would know that Snake enjoys killing, to an extent, and while he wouldn't grow as much fascination of it as the Joker does, he would try to use it against him as much as he can. Much like Big Boss dealing with the sorrow, Snake would be able to fight through the hallucinations and take out Scarecrow, who'd run off after getting some bullet wounds. After the fight, that's where Snake would learn about Scarecrow and learn about the fear toxin. By this point, the Arkham inmates would realize that Snake poses more of a threat than they initially expected, and thus would start taking him a bit more seriously, especially seeing how he shows no qualms with killing. To reflect this, after Snake manages to locate and free Quincy Sharp, not only does Joker set Bane free early after juicing him up just so that he can crush Snake, whether it's collateral or not, the encounter with Bane in general goes a whole lot more differently. Instead of taking him outside, he takes Snake down to the sewers of Arkham, where Snake is forced to fight both Bane and Killer Croc at the same time. Without a doubt, Snake would have an incredibly difficult time fighting both Bane and Killer Croc at the same time. Bane's intelligence along with his venom-enhanced strength is one thing, but Killer Croc's skin adds more durability on top of his bulk. He is capable of resisting gunfire, so Snake can't simply shoot his way with Killer Croc. In fact, I don't think Snake has any particular means of killing Killer Croc. So, Snake versus Bane and Killer Croc would effectively be him dealing with two brutally strong individuals. But while Bane isn't as impervious to Snake's weaponry, he makes up for it with his intelligence. And what Killer Croc lacks in intelligence, he makes up for with sheer brute strength. I don't think either of them can stealth Snake or get the drop on him when battling him, as Snake's Soliton radar would alert him to both. Even then, Snake can fight perfectly fine without the Soliton radar. I can see Snake trying to take care of Bane, as he would know that he doesn't have any means of subduing Killer Croc. So I can see Snake trying to bait Bane and Killer Croc into running into each other, and while Bane is dazed, he places C4 on his Venom tank and blows it up, immediately taking down Bane, and then taking out Killer Croc the same way Batman does, just with C4 instead of explosive gel. And thus, he voids Killer Croc for now. Moving on from the Killer Croc / Bane team-up, Snake by this point would pry at Naomi to try to figure out more information about Titan. She tells him that the Titan Serum was headed by Dr. Young, who Snake learns is somewhere on Arkham. He doesn't know her exact location, but all he knows is that she's somewhere. And Otacon adds to it by telling him that the Titan project as a whole seems strange, as he sees the entire project was being commissioned by a man named Jack White, someone with no substantial records, or at the very least, no relations to the asylum itself. Snake then decides to sneak his way through Arkham, trying to locate Dr. Young. Otacon eventually calls Snake to tell him that he found her via a security feed. Then Joker comes into the codec call. How is he able to do that? Honestly, he's the Joker, and that's the best explanation I could think of. Joker taunts and mocks Snake, and tells him that he can't get much out of Dr. Young if Joker does something first. Now knowing Dr. Young's location, Snake rushes to her, and this is where he finally encounters Zsasz. The scene unfolds the same, only Young tells Snake that Joker likely wants the notes, and tells him that the notes are in the records of Arkham Mansion. Campbell recommends destroying them over the codec, and Young goes kaboom. Snake, while initially upset at her death, will only get more frustrated with Joker's tomfoolery. Snake quickly rushes to try to discover and destroy the notes on the Titan project, and on his way is where he encounters, not Scarecrow again, but instead Poison Ivy. By this point, Harley Quinn would have set her free. Snake immediately aims his SOCOM at her and asks Campbell for information, who gives her name and why she was locked up. He also brings up her massive empathy and connection with the plants located around Arkham. Snake and Ivy would form an alliance, as Ivy would tell Snake that the plants are in pain and that certain spores in Killer Croc's lair possess an antidote to Titan. Snake promises to help her plants if she helps him retrieve the chemicals needed to combat the Titan Serum. But first, they go further into the mansion to locate Dr. Young's notes. After a little bit, they find the notes and destroy it. Ivy then guides Snake back down into the sewers of Arkham, but before they can reach the spores, Scarecrow jumps out and injects Snake with the fear toxin, causing him to go through the hallucinations once more. Much like before, Snake fights through it and beats down Scarecrow once again, who then gets eviscerated by Killer Croc, because it's a canon event. Ivy is nearby to help Snake get back on his feet, but Snake is growing increasingly suspicious of her due to how she seemingly didn't react or do anything when he was attacked by Scarecrow. The pair manage to get into Killer Croc's lair, and Killer Croc begins attacking both Ivy and Snake. Due to the spores being nearby, Ivy is able to use her powers to deter Croc while Snake gathers the materials needed for the Titan vaccine. By this point, Ivy is noticing how despite how her plants are supposedly in pain, they are doing a much better job at restraining Croc than she anticipated, even if he manages to entangle himself and even bite through some of the vines. So once again, Snake beats Killer Croc the same way once they acquired enough spores. However, immediately after Killer Croc falls into another hole, Ivy knocks Snake out and pushes him down into the hole with Killer Croc. Snake gets a codec call from Otacon and Campbell asking him what happened, to which he immediately answers that Ivy attacked him. Campbell tells him to find a way out as soon as he can, otherwise Killer Croc will try to crush him. Snake, once more, manages to evade Killer Croc and ends up in the old sewers of Arkham, where he tells Campbell that Ivy took the spores needed for the antidote. And to further exacerbate the issue, Naomi comes into Codec to say that there are traces of Titan in the water down in the sewers. Otacon comes into Codec to tell Snake to turn off the pump system before the Titan Serum pollutes the rivers of Gotham. With the guidance of Otacon, Snake manages to turn the pumps off, and this is the point where Joker starts to legitimately get frustrated with Snake. Between him evading his men so easily, and how he kills his men without any issue, also how he's generally being a thorn in his side, it just pisses Joker off, more than he wanted it to. Once Snake makes it back to the surface of Arkham, he sees the amount of plant life and violent plants absolutely overriding the place, and pieces together that this is Ivy's doing. Seeing how most of the plants are growing from within the glass house, Snake figures if it's not where Ivy is, it is at least where most of the plants are coming from. Fortunately, he finds that is where Poison Ivy is, where she explains that she thought her plants were hurting, but were instead evolving due to Titan. She then tells Snake that she turned on him because she underestimated the power of Titan, and will use it to become the most powerful force on the planet, just as Mother Nature intended. As a result, she attacked Snake because she didn't want him to undo whatever happened to the plants, and took the Titan antidote ingredients as a result. The battle between Snake and Ivy goes about the same way as the original game, only again, C4 instead of explosive gel on the final blow. If this was really going to be unfair, Snake could easily use the Stinger on her, and that would definitely do some damage to her. However, immediately after taking down Ivy and retrieving the Titan antidote, Snake gets a call from his codec just for it to be the Joker. Joker comes onto the codec to state how he has Otacon held hostage, and if he knows what's good for him, he'll come to the visitor center, disarmed and with the anti-Titan spores in tow just so that he can destroy it in person. Naturally, not wanting Otacon to die, Snake goes to the visitor center. Upon arriving to Joker's location, he can see Joker holding a dart gun loaded with Titan pointed directly at Otacon's neck. And behind Snake is Harley, holding Commissioner Gordon in a rope and her mallet in hand. Joker tells Snake to throw the ingredients to him, and he does so. Joker then laughs at Snake for thinking that he just let Otacon go, and Snake retorts that he thinks it's as funny that Joker thought he would really confront a psycho like him unarmed, and fires a single SOCOM shot at Joker's hand, causing him to let go of the dart gun and telling Otacon to make a break for it. Harley then lunges at Snake with her mallet over him, hurting Mr. J! But, well, yeah, it doesn't go well for Harley. Instantly after dealing with Harley, Joker sicks the last two Titan henchmen he has on Snake, who even with his bare hands, manages to deal with them. Once the Titan duo has been dealt with, Joker goes on one huge rant/tantrum at Snake, talking about how unfair this has all been thus far, and how Snake has made the plans he spent years crafting go down the crapper. Joker then injects himself with Titan, and now the final battle begins. Joker takes Snake onto the rooftop, causing Snake to drop his SOCOM. Joker is notoriously angrier than in the original due to how annoying Snake has been for him, ranting about how Bats has always been more fun to fool around with, and Snake always just kept a straight face, even when killing some of the inmates. He found it also infuriating that Snake could give him as much difficulty as Batman with less toys, and is just some soldier. After dealing with Bane and most of the Titans, Titan Joker is difficult, but Snake manages to deal with him by whittling him down. It doesn't help Joker that some of the goons he summons to help take down Snake are armed with melee weapons, including knives, which Snake steals and slashes away at Titan Joker with for every opening he finds. However, to make this more climactic, we can say that Snake smuggled some C4 before confronting Joker holding Otacon hostage, and during the battle, Snake puts C4 on Titan Joker's chest, which explodes and sends the two flying away from each other. After a long battle, Snake defeats Joker, and ends the Arkham Asylum event. The ending is just about the same. Arkham is under control again, the inmates and supervillains who were injured while fighting Snake get reinstitutionalized, and the Titan serum wears off. Naomi comes on to Codec to say that they could possibly synthesize an anti-Titan serum using blood of the ones who were injected with Titan, and Gordon congratulates Snake and Otacon for the success with the mission. Otacon and Snake ride off on a helicopter, leaving Arkham.
And on a lighter note, Joker accomplice Harley Quinn was returned to Arkham Asylum for another round of rehabilitation.
I want a lawyer! I want a doctor! I want a cheese sandwich!
And there you go! That is how I believe Snake could get through Arkham Asylum. I tried to make it at least somewhat interesting, because believe me, I could have easily said he'd be going around firing his Nikita or Stinger rocket launchers. But I did want to make this at least close to what would happen story-wise as much as I could. Are there some spots that need improving? Most likely, but I am satisfied with what I have written. Please do let me know if you want more of these, because I enjoyed making this, like, a lot. And if you guys enjoy it, I'll make more. That's just the way it is. So take care! I'll see you later. Oh, by the way, Snake would totally solve all of Riddler's riddles and collect the trophies.
Tell me, how did you work out where I was? Do you hear me? I, Edward Nigma, will...
impressive, Snake.